for joining us as we get today to celebrate the next chapter in Iowa State football by welcoming Coach Rogers and his family to Ames, Iowa. Before we begin, though, there's just some thank yous that I just really feel I want to be able to make off the top. Friday was an absolute whirlwind, and Saturday we couldn't have planned it out any better to have a big winter blizzard as we're trying to get Coach and his family here. And something happened Saturday afternoon that just made me really further appreciate what it means to be part of this community of Cyclones. And I'm going to share getting Coach and his family in Saturday night on that airplane in the middle of that storm would have never happened without the help of some people that went way above the call of duty. Led by one of our Ames residents, Doug Moore, the Central Iowa Aviation team of Nikki Kyle, John Burkett, the pilot, Brandon Krall, the city of Ames that fired up their public works team and brought snow plows out to create a path on the runway so we could get the plane to land. Brad Becker, Tyler Brayland, and Corey Shaden, and Chad Caribou. All names, I don't know them. Most fans are not going to know them, but they know they took the call of duty Saturday to get that runway cleared so we could get the plane on the ground and be able to start this process. And so I really thank them a ton. I also want to thank Joe Crandall, our lead pilot, who put that travel package all together on Saturday to get out to Pullman and then to get back in that snowstorm, and unsung heroes in this process. I also want to thank our administrative team. I mean, what happened on Friday, absolutely phenomenal team effort coming together. And I think about Chris Jorgensen, Nick Joes, Mark Coberly, Ryan McGuire, Kelsey Sampson, members of our leadership team, when I looked down the hall and thought, how are we going to do this? And I'm looking at you, Travis. You sat out there all day watching and probably had no idea there was all this scurrying going on 20 feet from you. But we all sat around my conference table and said, we got a mission impossible here. How are we going to pull this off? We got to get this done and ready so we can hit the go button. And I can't be prouder of the team effort of our administrative team. I also want to thank Mike Norton, who's here. Mike is general counsel of the university and represents Dr. Winterstein on issues related to athletics. And Mike was at my hip throughout this entire process of helping get this done. But at the end of the day, to me, the most important person in this process was Dr. Winterstein. We were in close contact throughout the last 48 hours of this, both directly and with Mike's help. You can't pull off what we pulled off without having a president that understands the importance of athletics and understands how you have to just navigate something this complex in that short a time. And without her trust and confidence in our ability to do that, we're not sitting here today. And so, Dr. Winterstein, thank you for doing that. I also want to give a shout out to David Spalding, who will be the interim president, and our next president, Dave Cook, because they've been unbelievably supportive as just fellow colleagues throughout this process. Even though this is Dr. Winterstein's show, they both were reaching out to me to say, anything I can do to help, we're there for you. Coach Rogers, I feel really blessed. I feel really grateful that I'm sitting up here today with him sitting next to me. And I say that because college athletics right now is not in a good place. What we just went through shouldn't be happening that way. But we're forced for it to be that way to try to bring some kind of calmness to a turbulent times. And the fact that we're here today, 72 hours after all this started, that we've brought certainty to the future of Iowa State football is incredible. And our fans should take great comfort in knowing that we have the next leader of our football program, somebody that wants to be here, somebody that understands what he's got to go through with his staff and those players because he's been through it. And our fans, when I think about that night when we arrived here at the building, there were about 30 fans that had chosen to tailgate in the storm waiting for us to pull up to the building. And although I don't know all of them, I know two, Chad Settle and Steve Kemp, that made that happen with those 30 people. And it was a pretty cool moment, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
It was unexpected, and it just demonstrated what it means to be a Cyclone, that we had fans that were willing to do that. But for all our fans, I want you to know we're not looking back, we're looking forward. And I know it's already been reported, but I feel I need to share the story briefly of how we connected. 2 years ago, through Jimmy's agent there, Evans, he had been on me for several years to take part in a workshop, a professional development he does with his clients. And I was able to do it finally several years ago. And it was down in Austin, Texas. And there were 8 coaches. There were several ADs, several presidents, and several search firms. And Coach Rogers and I got paired together with our wives, Haley and Ellen. And there was an immediate bond. But one of the first things he said to me, and keep in mind at that point in time, he was coming off an undefeated national championship as his head coach at South Dakota State. And the first time we really talked, you said to me, what do I need to do to be the next head coach at Iowa State if Coach Campbell ever leaves? And that's what we spent a bulk of the time talking about during that 48 hours. Because I immediately sensed his maturity, his laser focus. I know why he was a heck of a defensive player. I'm sure he lit up a few offensive players through the years with his intensity and attention to detail. But what was more impressive was his understanding of what it means to live and work and be successful in the Midwest. His familiarity with Iowa State University. He had participated and come and been down here at camps that our teams have had over the years. His familiarity with our players, because he had recruited several of them. His familiarity with our current coaches. He knew what it was going to be like. And so, when it came time to actually have to deal with this, there was one call to be made. And to give you a sense of how much he really wanted to be here, I called him on Friday morning. That was the first time we talked about this, that it was potentially going to be open. And when it hit that potentially the job had been accepted, although it was still, we had to wait another 7 hours, I called him back and I said, I need to know one thing. If Coach Campbell leaves and I offer you the job and I offer you, and he said, stop. You don't have to tell me what you're going to pay me. The answer is yes. I'm taking the job. I trust you. Don't worry about what you're paying me. That should tell you all you need to know about how much this man wanted to be here. So it's my honor, along with President Winterstein, to welcome Haley, Reese, Trace, Haley's parents, and introduce to you the 34th head coach of the Iowa State Cyclones, Jimmy Rogers.
I wish you had told me that storm was as bad as what you just made it out to be. We just acted like that was, we're just going to beat the weather. I do want to say thank you to the crew that helped with that, though, getting us landed. Joe was awesome, like Tokyo drifting across the runway. And then those fans that came out to just welcome us with open arms in what was a blizzard. That was awesome. But thank you to Jamie and his wife, Ellen. We appreciate everything that you've done for my family to get us closer to everything that we've known over the last, my wife, her whole entire life, but me for the last 19 years. This has been a blessing. I'm so excited for this opportunity, and I'm forever grateful. To Dr. Winterstein, thank you for pushing this through and giving me this opportunity. And I can promise both of you I'm going to work tirelessly to make sure that I prove you right, that this is the best decision that you've ever made. I do want to hit on one thing because I know it's important to a lot of people. It's important to me to address. Matt Campbell is an unbelievable person, and I'd be remiss if I didn't bring him up. What he's done for this university over the last decade, how he's built the program to want to aspire to be a part of, to build a culture that the players love their coach, and to walk into really an unbelievable opportunity. I would say that a large part of what Iowa State is and what the football program has become is due to Matt Campbell. And I'm thankful for him and that friendship. And I will hit on some of these things in college football, and I'm not going to go on a rant, but it forces us to become and make decisions that we would never make if we didn't have to. For one, Matt leaving right now, for myself leaving right now, I know for sure he would want to coach this football team going into that bowl game. I know that for a fact, because I know that I would have wanted to coach the team that I just spent the time preparing to coach in the bowl game itself. And there's one thing that has to happen in college football. This calendar has to start to align, and rules have to start to make sense. There is uniqueness just across the landscape of college football. I just lived through it. I just came from a place where I replaced the roster of over 75 different players, came together and made a bowl game. Had the opportunity to be much better than what that season ended up being, but at the same time, to bring a lot of players together and commit to a common goal, bring a spirit in which we played with every single day. It's not easy to do. And I've meeting with the team last night, an unbelievable culture that I just walked into with players that love each other, and you can tell, with the spirit that is going to be unmatched. And hopefully from the outside world, you don't see much change, because this team is competitive, very competitive, and is driven to win the Big 12 championship and win championships moving forward. And I believe that we can do that. I believe in the players. I believe in this community. I believe in the spirit of what Iowa State football is. And a couple years ago, we had the opportunity when I was at South Dakota State to come here in another storm, unfortunately. And that game got delayed like 3 times. And the student section at this place was unbelievable. And if we can do that every single week, it's going to be hard to beat us in this stadium. But that game itself, rain delay, everybody goes into the locker room, and the fans all have to exit. They open it up again. The fans come screaming down the stadium stairs. We have to go back inside. They have to leave. I mean, that went on for several hours, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, these people are nuts. And it was awesome. And that's what you want to be a part of as a coach. That's what you want to be a part of as a player. And I think that Iowa State has everything and more to succeed. I mean, what we're doing across the street here with the facilities that are going on, it is unmatched. I was shocked by the growth of this place. It says a lot about Jamie, his leadership, and his team of people that work with him, and what he's been able to accomplish over these last several years, just how fast things have moved. And I'm blessed to be a part of this. What you'll get from me is consistency, authenticity. I will work extremely hard. I'm extremely focused. I say this every time, but this is how I look. I can't help this. My face is like serious. I got the RBT or whatever they call it, the Yeah. RBF face. That's just my face. I was born this way. My son's got it too. But I'm so excited to lead this football program into the next phase of Iowa State football. And I can promise you that you will see a spirited team that comes out, plays physical, plays with passion. There's going to be a level of consistency of how we prepare and how we do things. We will grade. We'll train we're going to train the reaction and not the result. And what I mean by that is we're not going to get hung up on a scoreboard. There's a process in which it takes to be successful. I believe in that, and I believe that's how you live your life. And there's a type of player that we will recruit here to have success. And those players will be men of character, have great value, want to grow in every phase of their life, not just in football. And I know in that room that I just left last night, the culture is extremely strong with a lot of individuals that fit the mold of what I expect. It's a big reason why I wanted to come here. I just spent 19 years in the Dakotas, recruited a lot of these kids, and several of them, had the opportunity to get on our own campus. There was a lot of familiar faces in there for me, and for that was comforting. And I wish they would have came to me at my last spot as far as South Dakota State when I was recruiting a lot of these guys, but they came here. And they came here for this opportunity that is unbelievable because of the people that have surrounded them. And so for those coaches that were here on this staff last, I appreciate you guys. I mean, they've been great seeing those guys again, and I wish them the best in the future. Several of them will have an opportunity to stick with us. But I'm going to bring in a really competitive staff, one that knows the Midwest very well, one that has a history in winning and recruiting in this area, and then several new faces that, although I haven't had the opportunity with those that I trust, have been a big part of me, allowing them to be a part of this next step in Iowa State football. So I can't wait to get to work. This has been a whirlwind of not just a couple days for me. It's been several years. And with that, I want to thank my family, my wife, Haley, my daughter, Reese, my son, Trace, have been a backbone in my life. We just flew across the country and moved our family to Pullman, Washington, which the community was unbelievable, open to, was extremely welcoming. And I never had any intent to leave as fast as I did. I was planning on growing that program to the best of my ability. And when I got this call, I knew it was this is the one for me. This is the one that I've wanted because of the culture that has been laid, because of Jamie Power and his leadership and just getting to know his values and what it was important to him, and just honestly being a normal person to me and having a genuine conversation that was authentic and I could just be myself. And during those conversations, as much as you were, looking at me, I was also looking at you. Because there was one thing I'm not going to do is I'm not going to push a relationship that really isn't there to exist. And so for that, I thank you for just allowing me to be myself. And because I'm going to allow our players to be themselves, who God meant them to be, they will reach their potential, and we will do special things here as a football program together. And I'm excited to meet all of you new faces and chase championships here for a long time to come. So with that, I thank you and would love to open up for questions if that's the plan.
Yes.
Before we get to questions, Andy and Matt have got mics. Please introduce yourself for both the online audience and for Coach Rogers.
I'm just going to add one little aside because, when we met 2 years ago, I think one of the questions was, well, what can I do to be prepared for Iowa State? And I think one of the things I might have said is, well, can you smile a little? And so the face thing about I'm going to be serious all the time, he said it back then. Yeah. And so, and we're good with that. I love it. He's laser focused.
If I was the fakest smile, that would be worse. So this is how I look. I do have joy. I have fun. The players will experience that. The coaches experience that. I don't walk around smiling everywhere. So just get used to it.
Do you want to quickly just introduce Ricky and John since they're here?
Yeah, I will. Ricky Ciccone is our general manager. Unbelievable worker, great person, great family who's going to fit in this community. Awesome. Jonathan Schaefer, Chief of Staff, has been with me one of the longest. He was a student intern a long time ago, probably back in 2014, and he's been with me ever since. And so several of these staff members that will be joining us, which I'll hit on later when the full release comes out, a lot of them have been with me for years. There's a level of consistency of how things have been built. And I'll be adding some faces that I haven't worked with but have known for years, have competed against, have grown a level of appreciation for their competitiveness and the culture in which they've created. And that is familiar here with Iowa State. So I'm really excited for that.
Coach, there's another story Jamie shared with us on Friday night about your playing career, and I believe, correct me if I get it wrong, Jamie, but you said you had 0 scholarship offers and you talked your way onto the South Dakota State football team. What does a journey like that do for you as you transition to coaching immediately after that and now into this role at Iowa State?
Yeah, so I wasn't really recruited out of high school. I had a couple Division II opportunities. It was granted an opportunity to go to South Dakota State and earn a scholarship. John Stiglmeyer, who was my mentor along that journey, I mean, I went there on scholarship, but very much similar to, this is kind of who I am, and you can report and ask him on those things. I went on that visit. It was -4. I'm from Chandler, Arizona. I showed up. They were auctioning off a pig at halftime. It looked like a scene out of the movie Hoosiers or something. And I met a lot of unbelievable people. And John Stiglmeyer gave me an opportunity. And for that, I didn't care about anything else or where I was going to live. I got done with that visit, and I went home, and my dad said, "What'd you think?" I said, "I'm going to commit." Asked about the facilities. I said I don't care. They were, honestly, at that time, they were worse than my high school facilities. I told him that. Flew out to my house the next day. I committed because it was about the opportunity of chasing and living out a dream. For me, playing Division I football was a dream for me. He gave me that shot. Man, and I fought to prove him right. He's given me numerous opportunities, but I would tell you more than anything else, I've learned how to work, stay consistent, live the right way. Oh man, you hit on the one with that, brought me back. But I'm proud of my journey. I've been really consistent. Anybody that knows me knows that. The coaches that I'm bringing have been loyal to me, and I've been loyal to them. And we're going to grow this product of something really special here. And I've had unbelievable mentors along the way, and I have unbelievable people that I can call that can lead me into this new chapter of my life. Because anybody that acts like they have it all, situated and tight, or you can learn every single day about this opportunity, about this job, about the future of what it could be, and I'm always open to those things. But yeah, I was blessed. I was blessed to get that opportunity. I've worked extremely hard as a player and met unbelievable friends along my journey, and honestly, it's what kept me here in the Midwest. When I showed up to South Dakota State, I thought, what is out here? And 19 years later, flew by. I met my wife. We had children here. My in-laws are here. So a place that I thought right away when I got to when you're a freshman, just like most freshmen do, whether you're 30 minutes away or, 24 hours away. You think, man, am I going to be able to last for 4 to 5 years? And then in a blink of an eye, it's your biggest fear in your life is that this is coming to an end. And I didn't know what to do without football. Started my journey into the coaching ranks, and John Stiegelmeier gave me that opportunity. And I've been blessed. Those that were around me, and I think he's got an unbelievable tree of hiring great coaches. Clark Lee, who's the head coach at Vanderbilt, was my position coach. And so I've had great mentorship just in a position room and great leadership as a head coach. And there have been numerous coaches that have come through and cycled through our program that I had the opportunity to meet, saw how they've, I don't know anything different other than watching all these great coaches come together. So I've been blessed along my journey.
I apologize. I didn't introduce myself. Rob Gray, Cyclone Fanatic in Cedar Rapids Gazette. So
Appreciate
nice
it.
to meet you.
Thanks.
Tommy Birch, Des Moines Register.
Don't ask me a similar question to that, all right? But
Give him a layup.
we may have to be here a while if that was the case.
You'd mentioned meeting with the team last night. I'm just wondering, what was your message to them, and how did that go?
Yeah, honestly, meeting in the middle of what I understand that they're going through. I just came from a very similar situation, and I was kind of somewhat forced to not forced, but at the same time, like I made this decision. The timing isn't always the best right now in college football, and the players are going through a hard time, And I said to them, if you didn't feel this way, it wasn't done right. And the fact that it feels this way and that you feel the pain, the hurt, it's a credit to Coach Campbell that there's this feeling inside of you of, man, what do I do? And kind of feel shook. I think that that's a great sign of great coaching as far as how they were loved and treated inside of this program, but they're not going to be treated much different. We're cut from the same cloth. I've admired his career and how he's done it and how he stayed consistent and the values in which he preached, and these players live it. And it won't be that much different. I watched how he grew his program with the consistency of keeping those close to him and elevating them in their life. You can see that in those coaches' loyalty to him. It's a credit to who he is as a person. And although we get bashed for the decisions that we made, I bet you that might be the first decision that he's made for himself in a very long time. And so he's deserved it. We'll work through this together. It's our relationship. But my message to the team was just give us an opportunity to meet our staff. And so some of our defensive coaches that are coming with, they will be here today. And they'll have an opportunity to kind of see what the future of what Iowa State football will be from the leadership of who the position coaches will be, who the coordinators will be here shortly. I need to do that and get those get our coaches in front of these guys so that they can start to build what is a relationship that will last for the next maybe 3 to 4 to 5 years of their career. I also know that it's extremely hard to make up a relationship of maybe 5-6 years, right, with somebody that you love or somebody that you chose to come to the school for. So some players will end up leaving Iowa State, and that's a fact. And that's college football right now. And my job right now is to try to cultivate a culture that is in place, keep it, but also I have to bring players in to be extremely competitive and win a championship. And I'm hoping that number of those that decide to, depart is really small. But I just went through a whirlwind of understanding how to replace a lot of people and create a spirit in a program to do something special. So in that, never thought I would be doing it this fast, but I'm well equipped to do this job and understand if things were to get to that point, I can carry us to the future.
Hey, Coach. Scott Reister, KCCI, CBS here in Des Moines. Welcome to Iowa
Yeah,
for you and
thank
your
you.
family. I was going to ask a little bit about the transfers. I know you just touched on that, but more into that process. How does that play out specifically over the next few days? And has anybody indicated that they do plan on leaving?
Spoke to the team last night, obviously, told them just give us a shot, hear us out. I want to get to know them. I'm not going to expect them to immediately love me. I'm a normal human being. We're not, we have to get to know each other. Well, we close that gap of a relationship that was already existing prior. I'll spend the whole week talking with them individually, one-on-one, of the things that were important to them, the things that they thought we could have done better here, their experience here, the relationships that they have, who they live with, who's close to them, their parents and their background, and then eventually our staff will be jumping on staff Zoom with all of our players' parents. And then we'll do the same thing from the offense and defensive side of the ball, so the defense and offense can be able to introduce them, and not just who they are as people, but what we would do schematically. Because nowadays, these players, obviously, they want to do it at the highest level, and majority of them want to go to the NFL. Okay, so a lot of the parents are involved and understand. Some parents just want to know their kid's going to be taken care of, but some parents are involved of saying, does this scheme, does the structure, does it fit for you to have a future here? And those are all things that we'll discuss throughout meetings in the next several weeks with the players. And there's going to be honest dialect between both sides. And, some players will go. Naturally, some will go to Penn State. It's a common thing now. And if we don't like it, let's all change the rules. So I don't blame those kids at all. But I do think that there's something special here. And my charge to them last night is, that feeling that you had when you chose Iowa State, it wasn't just off of one person. It was how a community made you feel. It was how those teammates made you feel. And there was a spirit behind that and why you chose to come here. And don't just take it for granted that you're going to find it at the next place, because it's not always the case. And I think it went well. There's a line of players waiting outside to meet me, and I have the whole, week and a half to get through this entire football team, and to try to do it genuinely and just have a conversation with them and what's important.
Coach Chris Williams with Cyclone Fanatic. Welcome to Ames. I'm just curious about your overall general football philosophy. I've seen your teams play a little bit, but what you know about the Big 12 Conference, what style of football should fans expect to see from your team?
Yeah, I would say defensively, one that's multiple, that will use disguises and be more attacking. A really fundamentally sound defense that has had really great success over the last 7 years. We're a four-man structure, but we can get into an odd front up front and get into what we would consider a spinner package, using a very athletic, longer DN to kind of play as a hybrid linebacker in the system. One that has different rules to make it hard and challenging, whether it's zone or man. And then offensively, one that is also multiple, using many personnels, being physical up front, and having a belief, no matter what the circumstances in the game, that will apply the proper technique and strike people and run off the football in the run game and be able to be extremely explosive. Special teams, I believe in that being an explosive unit for us, one that has a level of consistency throughout the game, that eliminates error but maximizes its opportunity to make big plays in that game. They only get so many of them, so they got to be polished, and they got to be explosive when you get those opportunities. Overall, some of these Big 12 teams, I haven't played all of them, right? But obviously I'm a football junkie. There's a lot of difference every single year with rosters and coaches, right? So there will be a deeper dive of study of those things when I start to find out the players' strength that are on my team. I'm still looking at the film of the current players. My focus right now isn't necessarily on who we play next, in the upcoming season. It's more so, what do our players do well, and how can our staff put this team's talent in the ability to have success? Like, where can I put them at as far as position, and what is their strengths, and how do we hide deficiencies in certain players? And those are all things that I still need time to watch. I've been here for 48 hours, and I feel like we've accomplished a lot, but we're just scratching the surface right now, trying to get to know this team. Because I can tell you what, nothing matters unless you get to know the player. Nothing. The relationship is everything, and they got to want to go out and understand that you love them and that you're going to push them more than you care about showing them what gap that they need to fit. Nobody cares about those things unless you care for them.
Hi, Jimmy. Here in the back, Trey Redfield, sports anchor and reporter at Local 5, the ABC affiliate here in Des Moines. There are now 2 Jackrabbits in town, yourself, TJ Altenberger. How can your relationship benefit Iowa State athletics going forward?
Mine and TJ's?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, for me, and maybe more on my side, he could teach me the ropes of Ames a little bit better. But no, TJ's been a great asset to just have. He's one of the first guys that texted me when he found out. His family's unbelievable, and obviously he's very successful. So he understands what it takes to win and certain people to meet in order to continue to grow the program. And, you know, nowadays with the ability to impact our players in certain situations, NIL, he's already kind of had the ability to go through those steps and understand certain contacts to reach out to. So, yeah, TJ has been great. It's been fun to watch his journey. His journey isn't that much different than kind of mine. The difference is, you know, he left to come back, right? And for me, I always was looking on the outside saying, man, that place is pretty awesome and I'd love to join it. I just am blessed to have met him through, you know, Coach's Rep, my agency, just with a professional opportunity to grow. And what I thought was, man, I'm going to have to go take a off weekend to meet a bunch of ADs and presidents, you know, in an interview setting, which isn't a highlight of your life. No offense. It was an unbelievable experience, and I grew professionally, and that's what I was looking to do, but I didn't expect it to grow into this type of relationship. And somewhat off topic, you know, me and Jamie, he's texted me after or prior to every game, like, hey, good luck, and I think that's pretty awesome for him to think that way. And I never expected it to happen this fast because of the job that Matt Campbell was doing, but I'm blessed to be here, and you know, I think TJ would say the same thing. This place is a special place.
Hey, Jimmy. Ben Hutchins with the Quad City Times. If I remember right, you got to play in Jack Trice Stadium in 2008. Was that the first time you came to this campus, and what were your impressions of ISU at that time?
This is going to sound sick, but I worked at Lazy Boy in high school, working to try to get a Division I scholarship. That was a part-time job of mine. When I knew that I was going to South Dakota State, the first thing I did or thought about was, will I play a Division I school? At that time, South Dakota State was transitioning to the FCS ranks. They were Division II a year prior to me, and then when I came in, we went into the FCS ranks, and that was the first school that I saw that we'd be playing that was FBS at that time. It's a big reason why I chose South Dakota State is should I try to compete against some of the best in the country. The following year, we played Minnesota. But, yeah, that was my first time at Jack Trice. And I think it's grown since, and I think the attendance has grown since, and I think it's become one of the most electric atmospheres in college football, just with how, you know, fanatical the fans are. And it's something special. But, yeah, I'll never forget that. If I took a picture of every stadium, you know, it's like a high school thing, but I took a picture of every single stadium that we'd be playing, and I'll never forget that. But I was working at Lazy Boy using their printer when I was doing it.
Hi, Jimmy. I'm Jack Leto. I'm with KCRG, the ABC affiliate in Eastern Iowa. Jamie on Friday relayed a story about you when you took the job at Washington State. Jamie asked you, why did you take the job? And you said, because you told me I needed to go to the next level. First off, is that true? Did you say that? Or there's some modicum of that?
Here's the thing. In conversating what takes you to get to the next step in your life, we were referencing the next step at Iowa State,
Yes.
correct? And for me, I didn't take the Washington State job and move across the country to abandon in 1 year.
Yeah.
I didn't. I took that jump because I believed in that product and what I could produce there with the region, with how it felt, with the people that hired me, with the feeling that I had in, you know, I was replacing a former coach that I had a relationship with, that I could ask his family, what did you think of the town, the community, the spirit, and get great advice on this is a good job at a great place with special people. When I went there, it was unbelievable. I had a great support. The Coug Nation is somewhat insane. Everything is go Cougs there. And I got to meet a bunch of great people and a bunch of spirited people. And when I got this opportunity, I felt a sense of remorse. There's no doubt about it. But at some point, and I will say it again, I have to think about my family through this, uniqueness in college athletics. And I won't apologize for this, because this is the best thing that's ever happened to me and my family, as far as this opportunity to be close to family, for my son and daughter to grow up with their cousins only a couple hours away. That's rare. But the opportunity to chase a championship, Big 12 championship, national championship, I couldn't turn that down. And to do it for somebody that cares and carries values very similar to me, with a sense of security for the future, it's extremely important. And so, was it true that I was just taking a jump to jump? I wasn't. I was taking the jump to advance my life and to try to compete to get into the college football playoff at the next step. And I know nobody wants to hear it, and I know I'll get bashed, but it is what it is. Everybody will find a way to complain about something, and I'm blessed to be here.
I just want to ask why you had the prior relationship with Jamie. I'm just curious why Iowa State. I know you're now a Midwestern guy, but why'd you ask him in the first place, how can I become the next head coach at Iowa State?
Because I appreciated the way Matt Campbell, when he hired Matt Campbell from Toledo, Matt Campbell was able to bring his entire staff. That was something that I think is really rare these days. We have a product. The coaches create it. They spend all the time of their life developing a product, and then a coach gets an opportunity, takes a different job, but then he changes his entire staff. I don't think that makes sense. Matt Campbell didn't do that. He allowed him to do that. That was important to me in taking the Washington State job, that I could take the staff that was a part of building something special with me. Not a lot of people are willing to do that. They're just not. They want this person or this person, and he has connections. And I think it's really, for me, it's always been about who do I get to do this with. And to hear some of the values, I'm not arrogant enough to think that this is about me and I'm just going to create a product by myself. It is the people that you do it with, but for somebody to do that and put their neck out there and doesn't care about what level you coached at or where you were at, but if you can have success and work hard and do it the right way, and I felt that. And it wasn't necessarily just his answer, is how he said it and how I could read through him and understand that, this guy isn't full of it. So, yeah.
Coach, John Sears, WHOTV, welcome to Iowa. Expectations here at Iowa State have been raised over the last 10 years immensely. Is that something you relish, the challenge of now fans and players expect to compete for Big 12 championships here in Ames?
Yeah, I think it's awesome. And I think that's what the heartbeat of this football program should be and will be moving forward. I didn't come here to lose, and we will be competitive and be chasing to get into this college football playoff. I told the team that last night. So, yeah, I don't think it's what Matt Campbell's done for this football program and what the team has accomplished to get to where we are at as a football program is extremely it's intriguing why to come to this place, right? Nobody wants to go to a place that has zero success. So somewhat common sense, to the sense of, I want to be with a winner, right? And I want to do it here in the Midwest. I believe in recruiting these kids in this region. That's what I just spent my entire career doing, and getting to know their families and Midwest values and vibes. I mean, most of the best players I ever coached, Christian Roseboom, Adam Bach, Logan Backus, these are all Iowa kids. And I was blessed to be around them, and I got to know their families, and I really appreciated just how they were raised. And there's a ton of them on this football team. I recruited Cooper Ebel, and I recruited Bo Goodwin. Bo Goodwin was committed to South Dakota State. All of these guys, there's a lot of connection to this place because we recruit very similar. Great kids that want to do it at a place that has the same values. So when the families align with us as coaches, it's a natural fit. That is this place, and I feel really strongly that I'll be able to bring great players into this program that will, elevate the program for the future.
Hi, Coach. Alec Bussey, 24/7 Sports. As you talk about recruiting, what makes you confident in the resources and the ability that you're going to have to retain and then attract talent to this university?
The facilities are unbelievable, and what we're building here is unbelievable. But recruiting comes down to relationships, effort, commitment to each other, and if they want to chase something bigger than more than just a relationship in the time being, then maybe it's not a fit here at Iowa State. What my confidence stems from is I just did it for 19 years. I've been a part of understanding this dynamic of this area, and we will be extremely competitive in this state, recruiting some of the best players, in the country and this whole region. And I would say one blueprint that is awesome, and I wish I could throw this out there because I know everything will be a soundbite later, but the prospect camps here, they're the real deal, and they were ran right. And part of that stems from the Midwest traffic that goes through all of these, interstates to be able to come and compete at a Power 4 school. So you get a ton of traffic through here, and they're ran really well, and we're not going to stop them. We're going to continue to grow them and try to make that as big as possible because of that evaluation that you can get for high school kids at a paddock camp is extremely important. You get to see kids' competitiveness, you get to see their physicality, you get to see how they are as people, they get to see the campus, they get to meet your staff. I think those things are all really, really important because the more you see a player live on a live eval, the better shot you have at not missing on who they are as people and their talent.
Bill Seals with Cyclone Report on 3. Relating to the recruiting question, new class was just signed on Wednesday. I realize the current player is probably the priority there, but when do you start reaching out to those guys and getting a feel for how that relationship is?
Yeah, there's a couple that we recruited already. They just so happen to come here, and I got to weigh that and where their thoughts are at right now. We're going to have a conversation. I got to do all this in a really timely manner. I'm also managing the roster of positions, right? And so there are certain positions that are really heavy, and there are certain positions that we need to grow to fit our scheme. And so I know that there will be attrition on this roster because we're going to a 4-man front, and we need to create numbers at the D-line position. And at the current moment, there's not enough on the team. And there's a lot of, this was a 3-4, so naturally there's a ton of way more DBs, right? We got to be able to balance a roster position, but we also aren't going to just push out the door great players that you've had a future or had a level of consistency and will have a future here. So yeah, that will all be juggled here, meeting with the players. Some players will naturally leave because they don't know me and they want to make sure that they secure a future for themselves. That will be a part of this. And there will be players that come in, and who we bring in will be the right fit for Iowa State and will be bought into elevating this program.
Travis Hines with the Des Moines Register. Welcome and congratulations. What do you view as your biggest challenge or challenges to building a competitive team in 26 and a competitive program going into the future?
One of the hardest things is the timeline of this with only, I took this job and how fast you have to work right now, making sure that you will be aligned if roster X spot ends up leaving. Those things are unique right now. So you got to put your ducks in a line. I got to get a staff here. Our staff needs to connect to these players. Our focus will be on retention and getting to know these players. We're all doing that in a really quick time around the holidays. Then we don't see them for a month, right? The school date to start back is January 20th. The portal opens January 2nd. It will be open for 14 days, and I'm going to have roughly 7 days to get to know them and who they are and try to connect with them and build a relationship all within a week. It's really hard to do because they don't know me, their parents don't know me, so there's a lot of action that needs to happen in a short amount of time, which I start meeting with players at 11:30. And with that being said, how many more we got? Because well, as we talk about this, okay. Okay.
Thank you all for coming. Jamie and Jimmy will be off to the side for a few sidebar questions for a few minutes, and then they got to go to work. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Jimmy, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Glad you're here.
Yeah, I appreciate it.